Hey there, how are we doing today? This is Joe Cox Jr. with Life Made Simple, getting you through this narcissistic world. So I thought I'd do kind of a short video, but what I want to do is I want to show you from a guy perspective. I want to talk about my marriage, and I want to tell you how I view my marriage and how other guys I've known through the years. And this might help be good for both the guys and the ladies because they'll help them understand when you meet somebody you shouldn't have to pull certain things out. When a person has healed, they are looking for something very specific. Okay? You don't have to sit there and try to pry. You don't have to try to fix them. You don't try to have to manipulate anything with them. Let them be themselves and see if this you can connect with them. That's what you're really trying to do. And when you marry somebody, you want to have somebody you're connected. And a lot of times your best friends, you're connected to them. So, as far as my wife, the difference between that and any other relationships, I mean, it's no comparison as far as I'm concerned. My wife stands so beyond any other relationship I've ever had. And there's a number of reasons why. So, we're going to go through some of those reasons. And I'd love to have some feedback from both the guys and the ladies and see what you think about it and see if this helps you understand where, what it's kind of what you're really looking for, I believe, what most people. For instance, the first one is trust. Well, how do you trust somebody? A person, let's talk a little bit about trust in a relationship. For instance, me and my wife, we talk about everything. I don't try to, I just talked to actually someone the other day, and they were saying that their husband pulled some money out of their kids' account years ago and never told them. And when they went to college, the money wasn't there, and she was furious. Now, how do you live in a marriage for years knowing that you did something behind your spouse's back and don't, over 10 years that you don't happen to think, you know what, I better really say something to my wife about this? Do you really think it's just going to go away? See, it's not even if they find out, you still did it. The whole thing with integrity is a person of integrity behaves the same way even when nobody's watching. That's one thing I learned from my father is that he behaves totally opposite. He'll talk behind his best friend's back, laugh at him, talk about it, his fat wife and this and that. And I'm just thinking, are you serious? This is a good friend of yours you've known for years, and you're sitting there talking behind and laughing behind his back. His kid did something and knocked down part of the garage or something. I don't remember the details, but he was sitting there laughing about it. How that kid was so stupid. Imagine what he says about his own children when you're not looking. So, but what I want to do is get back to just a relationship. I just want to let you know, people with integrity, and my wife has tremendous integrity. We talk about stuff, and it is the way it is, and it allows us to have a deep connection. Also, the one reason it makes it so easy for me to tell her and talk to her about anything that I know that she's not going to blow up. I know that she's not going to get emotional. She's not going to go in the ego stage and be mad or anything like that. She has a right to be upset, but she doesn't take it out on me. That's the difference. And same thing with me. If I get upset about something and she'll say, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No," but I said, "It's not you. Just let me process this. Something happened or something today." You got to be sure when you're with a girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, you make sure they know that it's not them, especially if you've come from narcissism. When we first got together, things would happen and she would react kind of funny and I would talk to her about it and she would start opening up and talking to me and I would say, okay, I'll make sure that um, you feel comfortable with the situation. That's why I go above and beyond now, helping her to know that when I had a bad day, I said, it's nothing to do with you. You're wonderful. Let me just process this thing that happened today and or whatever. It's like, but whatever happens, if a spouse does something that um, doesn't that you find is either a betrayal or you're not comfortable with, I think we should have a full right to say something. The connection with that person comes based on your transparency and your vulnerability to that other person. There's a lot of people, male and female, that they just have no connection to their other half, and they stay in these for years. Sometimes it's full-blown narcissism, and it's you know, it's there's so much on the spectrum. My stepsister said one time how much her father, my stepfather, loved my mother. My mother is a narcissist. My father is a complete codependent. So my question behind that is she thinks that's love. And I told her, I said, if you define that as love, I've seen her degrade him and just pound his masculinity in the ground and him say, yes, dear, it's going to be okay, dear. That sort of thing. Nobody has a right to talk down to the other spouse, period. Never, ever. Even if you mess up. It's either it's going to work and you're going to connect and be together, or you're not. So many relationships are trying to put the round item through the square hole, trying to make it fit. And it won't, you can't make it fit. You can't make relationships fit if they're not meant to. Just keep your mind open about this. I have learned, after talking to many people through the years, 100% of every person I talked to that's divorced said that they had second thoughts going into the marriage or going into a long-term relationship. Anybody that had being in the relationship for a long period of time of dating and just not feeling comfortable and just staying there thinking it might get better. Been there, done that. Don't waste your time. If you don't feel that connection and you don't feel it's going the direction you want it to, you can't find what you want when you're in the wrong place, because the person might just pass you right by that you're meant to be with. That happened with me and my wife, but that was because of my narcissistic upbringing, and my mind was so mixed up I couldn't connect to her. And I believe that's one of the things. A lot of times, what we have and what we need and what we want, all that sort of stuff, can be right there in front of us, but we don't see it because we're so scattered. We need some clarity. When you live in harmony of mind, body, and spirit, you feel whole, you feel your complete self, raises your consciousness level. You don't need to be angry. You don't need to be offended. All those are negative. You don't need to feel guilty. You don't need to feel shame. A lot of those emotions, and we'll probably do a separate video on emotions, but understand, emotions and feelings are for one purpose. It's to guide you. It's part of your internal guidance system, and that's what I'm going to do a whole separate video on. Think about it this way. We're on Earth School. How else would we be guided? Because we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. How else would we be guided if it wasn't for the emotions and feelings? Children are raised, that's all they feel. Then they go into critical thinking skills and being able to analyze those emotions and feelings, not react from emotions and feelings. The whole idea is to mature. True maturity is now questioning our deepest level of why we're here, understanding that we're here for a purpose, and that is to become our best self. That is your root purpose. If nothing else, you were born the perfect you. Your job now is to become the best you. My greatest purpose today is to bring all my experience to you guys to help you live your best life. I'm dedicating the rest of my life to doing nothing but helping others understand. I grew up with two narcissistic parents that I've been in dark night of the soul. I've been through it all. And now I'm happily married to the love of my life. I should have always been with her because I met her at 15 years old, but because my mind was so scattered, I had zero clarity. And the guidance that my parents were giving me was always trying to guide me off the cliff. And they would guide, and I'm like, that didn't seem right or didn't feel right. And I would question it, but I'm like, but they're my parents. They wouldn't do that to me. And then when it happened, I'm like, how could you do that? And even with tears in my eyes, they would laugh at me. I'm like, are you that heartless? Or am I that worthless? See, those are the things it's hard for a child to understand because they're especially if you're an empath, and it will tear you apart. I've been there. It will zap your will to live. It will zap all of that energy out of you. You know what they call them, energy vampires. So what I'm hoping to do is help you in relationships. This is what we're focused on today. Is I'm talking about my wife primarily, how I feel about her, and I tell her every single morning. I said, not only do I love you, I adore you. She's human. We're both human. I'm not perfect, but she treats me with such respect, and in turn, I treat her that way too. You remember when I'm talking about living in kindness? Live with unconditional kindness. I don't give kindness, I am kindness. That's what I've decided for my consciousness level to be. I want to make sure that my wife can connect to me, and she can only do that if I keep myself balanced. It's like I can go home, and if she's off, if something happened to her and her energy's off, we're so connected I can feel it. Sometimes I can feel it even when I'm miles away from her. That is a power. You've heard of a mother's intuition, mother's ability to know about her child because they're connected. You can be connected like that to your children, to your spouse. We talk about things of this narcissism from a mind, body, and spirit. Most of the therapists only look at the mind and the body. I think that's the only thing they can look at as far as their license. I'm not sure about that. Y'all can respond in the comments and let me know if I'm accurate on that. The problem is they're trying to heal people, and they can't a lot of times, or they have problems healing them because they're trying to heal the body and the mind when their soul is all twisted and they have a lot of problems and they get all these diagnoses. What I have found out with me, heal the spirit, the other two fall into place. Heal the spirit, the mind and body will fall into place because the mind, think about it this way, you got your spirit self, you got your body. What is the communicator between the two? The mind. That's why you got a conscious and subconscious mind, superconscious. Making a little bit more sense? I try to lay this stuff out to make it simple. That's why Life Made Simple. That's why I named my book that. Trying to get you to understand. I don't go into a lot of big words, complex concepts, or anything. These are the basic things that if we even taught our children growing up, they would understand life and they could understand why they have depression, why they have anxiety. We feel so lost because we don't even know where any of this stuff comes from. And I had to go through 60 years of hell to figure it out. Because nobody around me could tell me. And I told you in that seventh therapist, man, she was a game changer. She didn't have to tell me where the problem was. She showed me where the problem was when she gave me a hug and told me, "You're going to be okay." And it just touched my soul to the core. So what we want to do is we want to live from the heart, our soul, our spirit. We want all that to live in a high consciousness level. Once we, I say fix ourselves, but we're not broken, so we don't really need to be fixed. We're just out of balance. If you're angry, oh, I went through spells. Dark night of the soul, I went through anger, I went through shame, guilt, bitterness. I went through all that. When I started putting these pieces together and realizing what had happened, it, it's it was a lot of disgust I had in my parents, the way they treated, and my brother drank himself to death at 29, and I realized they were pulling the rug out of him every time he turned around. I'll tell you a story they did that my mother did. My stepfather has plane ticket. He works for Delta. Has plane tickets. The golden child, flew around the world, had all his college paid for, that sort of thing. And I don't have any ill will towards him, but that we were treated very differently. And I don't think he had a problem with letting us fly. It was my mother. So my brother Richard, 6 months before he passed away, he had come back home, and this is before we realized he was sick. He wasn't here long, but he came back, and him and his girlfriend were going to fly out to Las Vegas, and my mother had told him that he could have tickets, and he had planned this whole trip. And he was in college, so he was strapped. He was tight on money. But see, my siblings still had connection with my mother. I wouldn't let her give me anything after I realized every time I turned around, she'd use it against me, want to charge me for things. And so within 24 hours, okay, this is around Christmas. I think he was flying out the day after Christmas or something like that. And he had got some specials on hotels and stuff. My mother had gotten him 2 tickets and then pulled them back. She could go online and somehow cancel the tickets. And told him, because you didn't come see me for Christmas. She made it conditional on him, but didn't tell him that's the condition. He's 29 years old at this time. He just turned 29, and he was bawling like a baby. He said, "I can't believe she did that to me." It just broke his soul. And it wasn't because this is the first time. I look back now and I'm like, she's been doing this to him all along. No wonder he drinks. We got the money together, make sure he could still go. But narcissists do things without telling you the rules. They always move in the goalpost. The reason I tell you this story is, coming from that, you're not sure the right way a lot of times how to operate in a relationship. Don't think that your spouse can read your mind and expect certain things. If my wife seems off about something, I'll ask her, "Is something bothering you?" And she'll sometimes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "What's that?" And she'll tell me, and I'm like, "Okay, I didn't think of that. I'm sorry." That's another thing, is that I have no problem saying I'm sorry to my wife, because if I messed up or if I did anything that hurt her feelings or didn't make her feel loved, the ego makes you say, "Well, I'm not going to tell her. I'm not going to tell her I'm sorry. I'm not to blame. Somebody's got to be right, and the ego. Somebody's got to be right, and somebody's got to be wrong." The heart is all about love, peace, and harmony. It's about truth. There is no right and wrong. There's only truth. When you live in a marriage with truth, love, peace, and harmony, you don't have all those little things. What I want to make sure is, when you find that person you think you want to marry, and you go to marry them, Do you have any reservation? Do you hope that something's going to get better in the marriage? Now, I'm about to give you a piece of advice on marrying, making sure you marry the right person, and you let me know in the comments if you agree with this or not. I found it to be true. Do you realize that whatever you have going into the marriage, it will be greater? In other words, if you have turmoil going into the marriage, you will have greater turmoil. If you have zero reservations going into a marriage, and you have live in peace and harmony with that person, that love will only grow and you'll be closer. That's how marriage is supposed to be. You're supposed to come together as one. What do you think? What do you think about those ideas? My wife is my everything. Does that make me weak? A lot of times I think I'm going to do a video because I've heard a lot about needing my wife. Does that mean I'm weak? I'm not needy, and she's not needy, but we need each other. Why? Because we come together stronger. There's things that she can give me that no other person in this earth can give me. That connection, that love. So what I want to do is, are you looking for the one that will do? Are you looking for the one that you can live with? You've heard that term. Are you looking for the one you can live with? Or are you looking for the one that you can't live without? I settled for years on relationships and all because of my own self-worth. When you look at yourself and you see your true self-worth, you won't settle. And that's not an arrogant ego thing. That's confidence. That's believing in yourself. And this is a whole nother subject we can do on another video too, about when, we are made to feel guilty to focus on ourselves, be confident, believe in ourselves, and not go around fixing people. Hey, you're just selfish. You're just focusing on yourself. And what I teach on another video is that's self-care. It's never a problem to take care of yourself. It's only a problem when you're taking care of yourself at the expense of another. Me and my wife, we completely take care of each other. We're in harmony. She has certain, if you want to call them chores to do, and I have certain chores, but like she does most of the cooking. But the other day, she wasn't feeling too good. I says, hey babe, is it okay if I cook tonight then? She's like, yes, please, thank you. She didn't have to ask me. I knew that she didn't feel well, and I just offered. When you're fair with each other, you never have to keep a scorecard. Oh, I did this one. Narcissists are big about that. There's always a scorecard. You always owe them in the end. When you're connected to the right person, you don't keep a scorecard. So just to summarize this, I adore my wife. I call her my angel. So when you're thinking about getting married, or you're in a marriage, and you want to understand, is this what I want? It's only you can make that decision. But my recommendation is find that self-love. That's in here. And everything out here will fall into place. I talk about all this in my book, Life Made Simple, Secrets to Wealth and Happiness, Hidden in Plain Sight. Got a 90-day warranty, guarantee on it too. If you don't feel like it helps you out, mail it directly to me, and I have an author buyback. I'll write you a check. I want you to thrive, and I've laid out everything in that book that I went through, and I tried to make it as simple as can be to help you understand And on these videos, we're going to go completely through the book, so you don't have to buy it, but it will help you, give you a good basis of everything I talk about, and help you to ask questions. And I'd like to have a lot, good interaction here on the channel, and help you get through, you know, help you get through life and live the best life possible. From Life Made Simple, this is Joe Cox Jr. sending you nothing but blessings. From my heart to yours, bye-bye.